Hi everybody, and welcome to Documentary Film Editing Masterclass Week 4, from Fine Cut to Picture Lock. So this is the really exciting time when we finish up our editorial. So again, thanks for joining us. Welcome to this session. Again, Week 4. If you have missed any of the prior sessions, you're watching now. Your digital ticket lets you access all the previous sessions. So weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, it will get you all caught up. The great thing is you can rewatch this, and it's all archived. Rewatch it, practice it, and the main thing is if you follow these steps, taking any kind of a documentary interview and B-roll or any documentary you're working on, I guarantee you can work towards finishing a film. And we have some really great videos on our YouTube channel as well in terms of the getting started with Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve and all the basics of editorial. So if you're kind of still thinking some questions, oh, how do I do this or that? Don't worry. You can go to our YouTube channel. There's dozens of videos that have posted from past workshops, getting you started, all the basics of editing, and a lot more as well. So in terms of upcoming workshops too, I want to promote the fact that in July we have a couple of great workshops coming up already. Narrative film editing, so that starts July. It's right after Canada Day weekend. I think it's the 9th or so or 8th. And then it's a 4-week program, and we also have a sound mixing workshop. So that can be applied for, we're going to look at a little bit of the nuances, but it's sound mixing, design mixing for film and video. So narrative, documentary, experimental. We'll look at like everything, how we can create sound and mix all in Resolve as well. So again, this software is totally free. Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve. You can download it, and then in terms of upcoming access to computers, the Resolve Studio will be available at our library partners. So once again, I want to thank all our partners in this project. We have the Canada Council for the Arts. We have our library partners, Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. So all of these 3 libraries have 2 iMac Digital Arts computers. They will be available once everything is reopened, and it's fully loaded with digital art software, including Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve Studio. So the full version, if you need even higher resolutions and so on, and they're designed to deal with video. So I just want to always plug that is coming up. You can access those computers, and please do so. It's a great resource, and you can do your editing right there. Now, best practices, just want to mention this, and is I always say try to have get like an external hard drive that you can put your footage on, and then you should have a second one to back up to as well. So if you're editing, but that way, that external hard drive you can take, for example, to the library, plug it in, work on your project, and then you can save your project as well. And I'm going to show that kind of finishing stuff today as well. We'll look at that. So yeah, without any further ado, let's carry forward. So again, from fine cut to picture lock. So last week we got our fine cut, we got some B-roll loaded, and we want to look at now, how do we finish this? How do we get to the picture lock stage? And this is kind of the next steps again. So with a fine cut complete, which is what we did last week, the next step, what you're looking to do is to start fine-tuning the B-roll. So because we just positioned that in, and we're not saying that it's totally done, but we want to work then what's called towards a picture lock. So 100% picture lock, and then we would take ourselves into sound. So sound, again, we're going to have that in our next workshop in July. That's where we would just focus totally on sound. So I'm really looking at the documentary editing process as picture editing. I know a lot of this gets blurred now in terms of sound and picture and so on, but we want to look at just, kind of steps. Like, let's get to all the picture done and let's focus on that. Then we can focus on sound. And sometimes if you're trying to do too much all at once, you start to lose sight of the rhythm of your film. And that's what we're going to look at today. The pacing, tempo, rhythm, it all will become really clear as we play around with, what's happening, how the B-roll works. And then this is the point where, music, again, I'm kind of contradicting myself now, but music or temp music, I like to put in sometimes just to see how the tempo is and to, confirm if it's working well. And that's, again, not that it's the final music, it's really just to see like kind of tempo-wise what it is. It could be music, it could even be sound effects. It could be, an ambient sound of, let's say it's outside, maybe like a forest, and just hearing that ambience can give you a tempo too, nature's tempo. So it's really good to have some sort of tempo behind your final decision making in this fine cut to picture lock. Then the goal here is that you've picture locked, and then from there you're then moving into all the finishing stages. So again, I hope everyone can join us in July. We're going to do the sound mixing on Thursdays, and it would be really great to continue that journey together as well. So let's look at what this means. I'm just going to switch over here. We're going to get right into Resolve, and just kind of see where we're at. I'm just going to open this up here. So here we go. So here's our Resolve screen. So we got everything loaded up here. Today we'll be looking a little bit at this transform section. I think it's a really great section to look at and to observe in terms of once we've finished this kind of editing, and the things we can do in terms of transforming our clips and how that can work really well. So we're gonna kind of explore what that means, and what we can do to improve that kind of stuff. Because in this transform section, we'll find that by being able to adjust things, we can do zooms, we can do digital effects in the B-roll really quickly and effectively. So it's a really great tool to use and to have. So let's have a look here just at kind of where we were at. So we put some B-roll. So this is the Kita artist profile, the photographer profile. We put all the A-roll, his interview. We finished that. Then we got some B-roll going, and we worked from there. So let's just have a look here and kind of see what this looks like right now.
They think it's something they've seen before. It could be the house they were brought up, or their grandparents' place, but it's never the actual house, but something in their mind resonates with their memories. Just to be curious about things around you, that's I learned from my parents taking photos, because they carry their camera all the time wherever they went, because you never know what you find. So that's why I use it as a mantra now. Wherever I go, whenever I go out, I always carry my camera. I tend to follow a certain style of editing because I don't want to look all the same as other photographers. So I just try to bring a uniqueness to my photos. That's why a lot of people think they might be paintings, because I make them look like paintings. That's the beauty of digital photography. You can always go back to old images and enhance or try different styles. So that's an ongoing process. I never let the old photos stay the way they were. So I'm always revisiting. There's no timeline where I thought I'd be pro or semi-pro. It's just a continuation of my hobby. So I still consider it as a hobby because I enjoy it. Yeah. There's no mistake in photography. There's no bad photography. You just have to be true to what you want to take photos of. Find the passion, find the things that you want to photograph, and just stick with it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's working nice. So what I'm going to do first thing, we want to always make a copy here. So I'm going to right click, duplicate timeline, and we're going to call it, let's call Fine Cut 2, because we might need to have a couple passes at this before we get to a picture lock. This way we can see if we want to, how we're going. So we're going to just adjust this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at, okay, this B-roll, I think it would be pretty cool to do a little bit of a zoom, like we did a zoom in, but I just want to do kind of a little bit of a movement, like we're zooming in, and how we can do that right here in the transform window. I'm going to engage this this keyframe right here, and now what it's going to do is as I go forward, this is my point A. I'm going to go forward right to the end, and just go back here, and I'm going to hit the keyframe again, like that, And what I'm going to do now is just zoom in a little bit. And now we'll see as we go back, it's going to go from point A, 1.190, to point B, 1.3. So it's like about a 10% zoom in. So let's have a look at what that looks like.
They think it's something they've seen before. It could be the house they were brought up or their grandparents' place, but it's never the actual house. But
So that's pretty neat. So I like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually kind of separate, what I have here. Like, so I have his first soundbite here, and then it's kind of right after the next one goes. I want to have a little bit of a pause there. So I'm just going back here, and what I'm going to do is just go back about 2 seconds. And that way we have part one, then we have a bit of a beat, like a pause there, and then we have his conclusion in, what people think about that. And I think that's going to be neat. I want that little separation there. So let's play that back.
they think it's something they've seen before. It could be the house they were brought up or their grandparents' place, but it's never
So I need that,
their grandparents' place.
their grandparents' place. So I'm just going to do the razor, just cut that. And I want those two together. So that's kind of a continuing there.
Were brought up or their grandparents' place, but it's never the actual house, but something in their mind resonates with their memories. Just to be curious about things around you.
So I'm just going to extend that a little bit longer, this next B-roll clip, which is him spinning around with the camera.
Resonates with their memories. Just to be curious about things around you. That's I learned from my parents taking photos because they carry their camera all the time wherever they went because you never know what you find. So that's why I use.
Okay, and that, I think there could be a little bit of a pause too. So what I'm going to do is just kind of grab all of these and just put it right after that. I'm wondering if we can hold that B-roll and just have that beat of a pause there.
That's I learned from my parents taking photos because they carry their camera all the time wherever they went. Because you never know what you find. So
and we're going to just hold on that B-roll a little bit. And then we're just going to put this one down here a bit. So we're just putting a little bit of, you can see what we're doing is we're getting some little beats of breaks. And I was thinking, at first we kind of squished everything really close. And I felt just watching it today, for a week later, that it feels kind of rushed, that I just want to spend a little bit of time thinking about what he's saying. And those are those moments by adding, these kinds of spaces. Sometimes it's a little bit opposite of what we think. Is sometimes I find the next fine cut or working towards a picture lock can actually be making it a bit longer for pacing, like to actually slow it down a little bit, because I felt like it was almost a little bit rushed. So this I think is breathing a little bit better in my opinion.
they carry their camera all the time wherever they went. Because you never know what you find. So that's why I use it as a mantra now. Wherever I go, whenever I go out, I always carry my camera. I tend to follow a certain style of it.
Okay, I'm just going to hold a little bit more on the B-roll before we get back to him.
I tend to follow a certain style of editing.
And then the camera went a little bit crazy there.
Follow certain.
So we're just going to trim that off so we don't have the weird move there. Okay, let's see if maybe we can have a little bit more on the head of it then instead. That's nice. Okay.
I go out, I always carry my camera. I tend to follow a certain style of editing because I don't want to look all the same as other photographers. So I just try to bring a uniqueness to my photos. That's why a lot of people think they might be paintings because I make them look like paintings. That's the beauty of digital photography. You can always go back.
And there, I think, again, I just want to, kind of hear that for a little bit longer as just kind of hold on this painting. And I think it's, we're going to do that same thing. So I'm going to go back here to this transform section. I'm going to start my first point A, the keyframe as it is. I'm going to go to the end of this photo, right to the end here. I'm going to hit another keyframe, and we're going to just do a little bit of a zoom in. And here, let's play it back now. So those two keyframes, so point A to point B.
A lot of people think they might be paintings because I make them look like paintings. That's the beauty of digital photography. You can always go back to old images and enhance or.
And here, I'm just gonna get rid of a little bit of the stumble of just that's the beauty of, and I think there's like a ah.
That's the beauty of digital photography.
So let's just get rid of that piece there. Just gonna kind of just slice that out. Let's use the razor blade, and then just kind of cut. So I did razor blade. I'm just gonna, snap this up a little bit.
That's the beauty of digital photography. You can always go back to.
Right. So that's what we want to do in this fine cut moment now when we're getting to picture lock. If there's like, that's the beauty of we want to get rid of those pauses that happen really quickly. I don't mind pauses naturally that happen a bit later, but it's like, because we're on the photo on top of him, it's kind of nice to get rid of that pause and then, just have it a little bit more, a bit smoother. So let's have a listen.
That's the beauty of digital photography. You can always go back to old images and enhance or try different styles. So.
Okay. And this B-roll is a little bit moved here now. So I'm just gonna move this down here a bit, and I'm not too worried about where all this stuff is, because now I'm kind of pacing it out. We know, like, we got our B-roll that we like, and now we want to figure out kind of the pacing of, what the spacing should be between. Again, really, really looking at this kind of spacing. Like, you can see there's a big nice space here. People think it's like a painting, and we hold on that. We really want to get people to absorb that. Feels like it's a painting. And we might have a little bit of a pause here, but you can see the rhythm now. We're kind of getting a little bit faster as we wrap up. That might actually work really well. I tend to kind of like that, where we almost kind of expand the film, some tempo, like start up a bit faster, get people into it, then kind of slow it down a little bit, and then we kind of wrap it up. Very, very typically a nice style for something short like this.
That's the beauty of digital photography. You can always go back to old images and enhance or try different styles. So that's an ongoing process. I never let the old photos stay the way they were. So I'm always revisiting. There's no timeline where
I'm always revisiting. So I wouldn't mind like just kind of holding that. And I'm thinking to actually, I know we only have so many shots, but I'm thinking to, maybe put this one again, and we'll just zoom in on it a little bit. So I'm just gonna kind of put that in.
I'm always
revisiting. And I kind of like this idea of, and then we'll just hold on that. You can see I'm kind of making, again, a little bit longer, but I think, we're gonna get to here, and then I think these two, we're gonna just move down a little bit like so, and you can see, and then we're kind of getting into a rough structure. So sometimes I can just move these elements just kind of by eye and go, this is kind of the timing I want to do. And that's the whole thing of that. It's very visual, the user interface, to kind of figure out, where we want things to be and timing wise and stuff. So it really helps that it is that kind of a visual layout, and it can oftentimes really help kind of figure out where we should be with it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to really like zoom in here and just kind of, play with, let's say, kind of a starting position like so. So now it kind of looks like a different area, right? So if I kind of go from point A here, so again, this kind of idea, point A from the beginning there, go to the end here, I'm going to get another point, and just have it kind of zoom in like that again. Let's have a look.
So I'm always revisiting.
No, I think we put this thing ended up in the wrong spot roughly, but there we go. So yeah, you can always open up these keyframes right here on the timeline by clicking the keyframe, and you can see sometimes by accident I added an extra one, so it's kind of a pause, but I just want this nice linear like zoom in kind of function of that. So that's right there where you can edit your keyframes.
Revisiting. There's no timeline where I thought I'd be pro or semi-pro. It's just a continuation of my hobby. So I still consider it as a hobby because I enjoy it. Yeah, there's no mistake.
I like this where we kind of get these two shots. It's almost a bit of a jump cut. But to me that's...
Because I enjoy it.
And then kind of get that in there a little bit earlier. And I really like this pause that we have here of his thought. And I think that's one of those ones I identified earlier.
I still consider it as a hobby because I enjoy it. Yeah, there's no mistake in photography. There's no bad photography.
Now I think that's a little bit too long of a pause of the thinking. So let's just get a little bit less of the frames there. And I'm just using the arrow keys here on the keyboard just to move these frame by frame.
Yeah, there's no mistake in photography.
So that seems a bit nicer.
Yeah, there's no mistake in photography. There's no bad. Yeah, there's no mistake in photography. There's no bad photography. You just have to be true to what you want to take photos of. Find the passion.
Okay, and then here, same thing. We're just going to get into a bit of this keyframe again. So I'm just going to kind of get my beginning part here and just to the end here. And do kind of a bigger zoom here.
Take photos of. Find the passion. Find the things that you want to photograph and just stick with it. Yeah. Find the passion.
So I'm going to get rid of that kind of chop there too, and just say, okay, well, find the passion.
Find the passion.
And I'm just going to just cut that out.
Find the passion. Find the things.
And then just that way there's kind of a natural beat, but we just get rid of a little bit of the stumble there. And that's always nice, just getting rid of the little stumbles.
Find the passion. Find the things that you want to photograph and just stick with it.
And let's move that down a little bit.
Find the passion. Find the things that you want to photograph and just stick with it. Yeah.
Great, okay. And I'm thinking now at the end here, we probably just do a little bit of a fade. So I'm just gonna click on the end here and we can just put like a little bit of a fade. It tells me it's about 2 second fade out.
Yeah.
See, that's really nice. I like that kind of fade to black. So that's our fine cut 2. And then what I'll do is now I'm gonna actually make another copy. So I'm just gonna go back to these cuts here. So fine cut 2. I'm gonna duplicate it, and that way, just in case, whatever changes I do, now we're getting into the point where, there might be I don't want to go too far, but let's go so far. Now we're gonna say, okay, let's go picture lock. Let's see, like we're gonna make that copy, picture lock, and then let's kind of see what we're thinking of this. We're gonna watch it back again and just see if we're pleased with everything. Let's give it a watch here. What I'll do too is we can cinema viewer. We can go like full screen so we can see the whole piece. Okay, here we go.
They think it's something they've seen before. It could be the house they were brought up or their grandparents' place. But it's never the actual house, but something in their mind resonates with their memories. Just to be curious about things around you, that's I learned from my parents taking photos because they carry their camera all the time wherever they went. Because you never know what you find, so that's why I use it as a mantra now. Wherever I go, whenever I go out, I always carry my camera. I tend to follow a certain style of editing because I don't want to look all the same as other photographers, so I just try to bring a uniqueness to my photos. That's why a lot of people think they might be paintings because I make them look like paintings. That's the beauty of digital photography. You can always go back to old images and enhance or try different styles. So that's an ongoing process. I never let the old photos stay the way they were. So I'm always revisiting. There's no timeline where I thought I'd be pro or semi-pro. It's just a continuation of my hobby. So I still consider it as a hobby because I enjoy it. Yeah. There's no mistake in photography. There's no bad photography. You just have to be true to what you want to take photos of. Find the passion. Find the things that you want to photograph and just stick with it. Yeah.
Great. That works really nice for me. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. I didn't see anything. I'm thinking just there's something here about the paintings that looks like photographs look like paintings.
Photos. That's why a lot of people think they might be paintings because
I'm gonna get rid of this right here. So let's just go right here. Let's get rid of this just this part right here. I don't think it's not really adding much in terms of a beat.
That's why a lot of people think they might be paintings because I make them look like paintings.
Great. Okay, so that's just that little So that's it. That's what I would call our picture lock. Now, what I like to do is let's just try. I'll try importing something. I don't know what I have in terms of some music or something, but sometimes this could be interesting just to see like what kind of can work with this I'm just going to import some stuff and just see if any of this could kind of work. Okay, so that's kind of fine. Let's just see kind of something like that. It's not too crazy. So I'm just going to add a track here, and then just put that music down here. And then what I'll do is I like to put it really low. So minus let's say minus 20-ish. And we'll just have it there kind of in the background to see what we think of it.
They think it's something they've seen before. It could be the house they were brought up or their grandparents' place. But it's never the actual house, but something in their mind resonates with their memories. Just to be curious about things around you, that's I learned from my parents taking photos, because they carry their camera all the time, wherever they went. Because you never know what you find. So that's why I use it as a mantra now. Wherever I go, whenever I go out, I always carry my camera. I tend to follow a certain style of editing because I don't want to look all the same as other photographers, so I just try to bring a uniqueness to my photos. That's why a lot of people think they might be paintings, because I make them look like paintings.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put that one up just a little bit louder there at the end.
People think they might be paintings because I make them look like paintings. It's the beauty of digital photography. You can always go back to old images.
And just put these a little bit louder.
Revisiting. There's no timeline where I thought I'd be pro or semi-pro. It's just a continuation of my hobby. So I still consider it as a hobby because I enjoy it. There's no mistake in photography. There's no bad photography. You just have to be true to what you want to take photos of. Find the passion. Find the things that you want to photo.
I'll put that a little bit louder there at the end, but we got kind of this nice tempo by the end here.
Find the passion. Find the things that you want to photograph and just stick with it. Yeah.
Right, and then we can just, I'll just do a fade out here of the music as well. Okay, so, and that's really, gives me a good idea that I think tempo-wise that it's, it's working, nothing feels too rushed. Those pauses, the music's not necessarily slow, but I'm finding that the pauses are working, and if I have something in that kind of a tempo of music, it's giving me breathing time, but it's letting me observe and absorb the photos, and that little bit of movement worked well too. So that's basically where I would take it to then. So we, from last week we had the fine cut, some B-roll, and then we do, we're fine tuning this B-roll, letting it breathe a little bit. We're talking about I think we've added like 2 or 3 seconds. It's nothing major, but it's sometimes just you want it to breathe a little bit more, and I think I was trying to compress it too much. And that's important to just see too. Like you might, fine cutting picture lock doesn't necessarily mean that things get shorter and shorter. Sometimes you need to let things breathe a little bit. And I think because we need to look at these photos, that's part of the tempo. And it's not so much just what he's saying, but it's really looking at the photos that he's talking about in terms of his artistic process and how he comes to this. So really trying to make it come alive and speak to us appropriately. So that's great. So that works really nice. So then at this point, so we got our picture lock like that. I'd save that. The next steps would be to do the sound, editing, further editing, design, mixing, and so on. Again, that's what we're going to be doing in July. So our next masterclass is sound, edit, and design for film and video. That's starting just after Canada Day. So please, we can continue discussing these concepts, and we'll look at this film as well, and we'll look at narrative sound design as well. So we can look at both ideas, what's involved, and have an idea, documentary narrative. And it's all the same goals as like how do you enhance your story, right, to improve the story being told. Okay, so from here I would just basically save. You can also we can export the project. So if you're working on your own hard drive, so here's like my external one here. So documentary masterclass demo, and I can just let's say I would do a new folder and just say resolve projects, and we'll save it in there. And the reason I'm doing that, I just want to show you guys what that looks like. So I go here, resolve projects right here, and here it is, 1.7 megabytes. And now that project is the whole project .drp, DaVinci Resolve project. I'll just kind of zoom in on here. So this is what you would be able to just put. So if, let's say you came into the creator space, into the digital arts computers at one of the library partners, you worked on an edit, and then you had, you were done, you picture locked, you'd want to export it, and you'd even, as you're going, so let's say you're going there for a few days, each day you want to create this, this project export. And so what I would go further is just to actually say, okay, this is June 24th, 2021. And then you have a date on it and you know exactly when it was. And even further, I would say is to actually put in picture lock. So I know that that project is the picture lock at that point of that date. And so that's what we want to identify. So that's all we need to do for the export. And then if we want to just have this kind of working cut, what I then like to do is in this picture lock sequence, get rid of all this old stuff. So I'm just going to click it over, delete, it's gone. And now I just have the fresh sequence, just exactly my picture lock, no more, no less, exactly how I want it. So from this point, what I can do is create what's called just a screener. So if, let's go like Vimeo like this, and then I can say Kita photographer doc picture lock. Gonna find out where we can put it. So I'm gonna put it right on this external drive. So again, if you were plugging an external drive, it'll work the same way. I'm gonna go to my documentary film editing, create a new folder. So that's all our raw stuff was there. I'm gonna go cuts. I always like to do that. Make a cuts folder, save. So that's gonna do that, put it into the cuts thing, entire sequence. The last thing I need to do is just go right here, add to render queue. You see it's right up here, and then we just go render all, and it's going to render through the sequence, and it's running at about 80 frames per second, so it's faster than real time. Sometimes things, larger resolution files will usually, at least at a minimum, real time. It won't usually take more than that. So here we are. This is the delivery button at the bottom, a tab. This gives us what I like to call a screener, and this then can be used for sharing until we get into the picture, sound editing, and mix. That would be the final steps of the project. And of course, there would be color grading as well. And yeah, we'll have a color grading masterclass coming up in August, so stay tuned for that. Details will be coming out next week. But yeah, so that's that. And now what I go is if I go again back here, go to the masterclass documentary film editing, go to my cuts, and voila, I open it up. Here it is, full HD rendered 1920 by 1080.
They think it's something they've seen before. It could be the house they were brought up.
And you can see, so here's the whole film rendered out. So that's what we need to do in order to share it and to get it out of Resolve. Because otherwise, someone else can open it, but they would need all your raw data and all this kind of stuff. So it's, that's the final step in the picture editing, is to get that screener. So at least you can share it and, think about think about that process, right? So again, what did we do? We went from our fine cut to picture lock. We watched it and watched it some more. There's always a lot of watching and rewatching, and I always say you watch a film probably a couple hundred times just in the editing process, if not more, the whole film. That's important because every time you watch it, you're gonna find different things and look at the pacing, and it changes. And like I said, even doing this course with this footage, I get a new edit every time. I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. That's interesting. Finding new moments. So that's the beauty of it, that you can always find something different. No film will ever be the same. Two editors will edit two totally different films. Some similarities for sure, but key moments maybe and stuff, but there'll be always some differences and nuances. And that's the beauty, that you yourself will go back, and time is the biggest luxury. So if you can edit and have like a few days to like not even watch it, then get to the picture lock, it's really going to help, because you'll have this fresh eyes, fresh mind to watch it. So then we fine-tuned our B-roll, did a little bit of zoom ins on it. We paced things out a little bit, slowed things down a little bit as it's required, so we can sit and like look at these photos and absorb them. Put some music in just to see how that tempo is working, kind of confirm that the tempo is good. And then we did exported the whole project onto external drive, so we can bring that anywhere we want to. So for example, if you're using that at a Creator Space digital arts computer station at iMac, you can bring it somewhere else. You can bring it back home to a home computer, right, or a laptop, or just at least save it on the hard drive so you can come back. So what happens in case someone deletes your whole project or something? That could happen. So you always want to, any kind of, so public shared computers, always save everything backed up on your own hard drive. And then we made a export. We did a delivery. We exported it into a 1920 by 1080 HD file, and that can then be used to share, and so we could post it, send it to friends, family, get some more feedback on what do you think so far, and most importantly, it can go to a sound person to start watching. It can go to a composer if you're getting original music. So really important to get that final render out, and then you can kind of work from there and go. So if you have any questions about the the software, the program in general, Creator Space, or the computers, access, or anything, I'm just putting my email, tom@tbmcs.ca. Send me an email. I'm happy to answer questions. If you have technical questions, editorial questions, you're stuck with editing your documentary on a certain aspect, or something's really bugging you, and if you've done a cut, please send me a cut, just like I did here. You can render it out, send it to me, and share it, and I'd be happy to watch it, give you feedback, and whatever I can give you, feedback or help you technically with any aspects of this. So yeah, thanks again, everyone. That concludes our documentary film editing masterclass. Really appreciate having a few weeks to cover this, and really go into some details, and to be able to watch it together and think about things, and kind of showcase how viewing, going back to editing, viewing, and that process, I think, is key, that it's not a rush process, and it really, it should take you a few weeks, just like we spent here in refining, watching, studying your footage, and getting to this picture lock. So thanks again for joining us. I want to thank all our partners in this, Canada Council for the Arts, library partners, Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. So please stay tuned. You will have access to the digital arts computer soon, and you can check those out for editing. In the meantime, I will see you guys hopefully in July for the next masterclass in editing. We have a narrative editing one coming up, plus, as I mentioned, the sound design and editing masterclass. All the best, and talk to you soon. Take care.